Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming to learn a little bit more about our online speech therapy experience that we have here at Healthy Speech Solutions. My name is Liz. I'm the owner and speech language pathologist at Healthy Speech Solutions. So let's just dive on in. So we have three approaches that makes our Healthy Speech Solutions online experience very unique. We have the hands-on approach, which involves no screens and is mostly therapist with parent or caregiver interaction only. Then we have the traditional approach, which is typically what people think of for an online speech therapy experience using the computer screen. Then we have the hybrid approach that has to do with online technology, but also has to do with hands-on activities in the environment. We will go a little bit more in depth as I continue on with my lecture. So which approach do I use? How do I decide which approach I want to use? There's three components that I think of when I'm determining which online speech therapy approach I'm going to utilize. First off, the age of the participant. Let's be honest, a 2-year-old probably is going to have absolutely no idea that I'm on the computer screen, which is fine. So that's where I might use the hands-on approach, where I'm focusing on parent coaching, teaching them how to think like me as a speech therapist. The other reason is, why are you here for speech therapy? Are you here because you're having language difficulties? Are you here because you're having difficulties chewing and swallowing? Are you here because you have difficulty pronouncing words when you're speaking? That might also affect which approach I use. Like, for example, if someone's having difficulty chewing, I'm not going to do the online traditional speech therapy because online activities has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that the person's here because they're having difficulty chewing and swallowing. Also, what gets the person excited? Is the person excited by my green screen technology? Or is the person more excited playing with toys in their environment? Or if I'm working with an adult, is the adult a lot more engaged trying to help with organizational skills in their environment? It really depends on what's going to get the person excited, engaged, why I'm seeing them for speech therapy, and the age of the participant. So all approaches, I always have to think about these three fundamental questions I have to ask myself. So first, we're going to dive into what the hands-on approach is. This is the no screen time. This means I do not expect the individual who's seeing me, whether it's a child, whether it's a baby who's bottle feeding, or whether it's a 2-year-old who's running around the house crazy and not really able to sit down and focus. This approach is perfect for them. This could even be someone who's maybe in their 70s, who's just not engaged with technology. This could be also a really good fit for them as well. And this is where I'm focusing on the caregiver. I'm focusing on the parents. I'm focusing on any family member, anyone who wants to learn, by permission to teach, by the way, but anyone who wants to learn. And I use this coaching model of therapy. So this is where the individual who needs the speech therapy services interacts with their environment. So we go to them. If they want to play with dolls on the ground, if they want to play with blocks, if our goal is to try to bottle feed, if our goal is to try to chew, that's what we're focusing on. In this approach, if we say, come back to the computer screen, that tells me we're not doing it correctly, because we're supposed to go to them. We're supposed to find what they're engaged in, because if they're engaged, then they're more likely to participate in our session. So an example of this is that you might be able to do therapy at the playground, because it has nothing to do with the computer screen. This has to do with, is the person who I'm helping engaged in the therapy session? And that's all that I care about. So here's an example. We can have a child who we decided to do a speech therapy session at the playground. How awesome is that? I kind of wish that I was there so I could start climbing through those ropes as well. Why not do another therapy session while playing softball? And you're looking at that and you're thinking, really, Liz, an online therapy session? How is the child hearing you on the computer screen? It's irrelevant, because the person who's holding the phone is the person that I'm teaching. And the person who I'm teaching is working with me to elicit these language learning opportunities. And with this hands-on approach, the more and more I interact with the parent and the caregiver, the more they start to think like me, as creepy as that might sound. So what will end up happening is that the parent starts to take the lead in our therapy session, and I take the back seat. And all I do is I start tweaking and I say something like, hey, that was a really good job trying to narrate what the child was doing. Maybe next time, could you sneak this in, try to add this? Or, hey, I have an idea. While you're doing this activity, which you're doing a really good job participating in and getting the child engaged, maybe we can try to get the word up Okay, so this is the technique we're going to use. We need to start talking about up a lot, really just start diving and talking about up, and then pause and let's see if we can get them to say up. So what happens is the parent starts to think like me, the parent starts using these actual strategies while on the playground and while playing baseball. So at this point in time, it's not about me and the child, it's about me teaching the parent or the caregiver to actually facilitate these language goals or feeding goals that we're working on. And then here are some examples of things we can do in the home using the hands-on approach. We can have a slide. Why not have a child go down a slide in the house if you happen to have a slide available? I don't know about you, but that actually sounds like fun. And why not playing with Legos, right? Why not playing with some of our figurines? It's really in my eyes, whatever gets the person engaged while it's a child and adult, because I want this to be as functional and appropriate as possible. Again, if they're running away, come back. We're not doing our job because there's no language learning that's going to occur there. So let's kind of dive on in. I'm going to show you what the traditional online speech therapy approach looks like. So here's an example. So I'm going to say, okay, who's going to open the door? Would you like to open the door? Would you like me to open the door? Oh, okay. You want me to open the door? Can you say it again? Can you open the door? Oh, can you say it? Okay, I will open the door. Thank you for asking so nicely. Ready? Okay, so now we're going to learn about the traditional approach to speech therapy. This is the approach that most people typically think of. But I have to like to put a little unique spin to it because I do online activities and I can have online games. But my favorite is the green screen technology, and that's what we're using right now, where I am interacting with the screen, where I am sharing a story through the computer screen. And this is a really great way to elicit language goals, articulation goals, and organizational goals. And this can also be a way to elicit social skills goals. And then also you have the traditional shared screen where we can have two people on the side of the screen and we can have a screen that we can share together. And I really like about that green screen is that it's a fun way to do it. And the child and the adult are like, whoa, what's going to happen next in this story? I've had so many people come to me and have commented on doing online speech therapy at other facilities. And their biggest concern is that the games are boring. The games are repetitive. Well, I don't really like games. I like more social interaction through the screen. To me, that's a lot more engaging. And why don't you dive in and you can tell me if it's a little bit more engaging to you. So here's an example of what an online approach might look like. So I might give the individual who I'm working on language 2 items to choose from. And I might say, do you like the pineapple better or do you like the onion better? And maybe I'm trying to get them to say the word onion. Maybe I'm trying to get them to say the word pineapple. Maybe I'm trying to get them to say yellow pineapple or round onion and whatever. Or maybe I'm trying to get them to request, can I have a pineapple? It doesn't matter. But I think you're starting to see is that whatever my goal is, I find a way to hit it using these interactive activities that may not necessarily be meant for that item, but that's what's so beautiful about this. I can make these green screen activities and shape it however I want to hit whatever language goals I'm trying to hit. And really, I think the best part is that I just simply attach it on the screen. As they're starting to talk to me, I can just start including all these different items. Gotta love my pepper here. Kind of looks like a pepper, doesn't it? But like, I just put it on the computer screen. Isn't that awesome? So then they just start interacting with the screen. So suddenly we're transforming and we're making this beautiful pizza. And then I might ask the individual to say, hey, what do we do next? We just put all the toppings on the pizza. And they might say, we got to cook the pizza. And I go, okay, can you help me put it in the oven? They go, okay. And I go, can you ask me to put in the oven? Can I put in the oven? And then bam, suddenly the pizza pie has been cooked. So that's an example of a social interactive activity that I can do that has to do with the green screen. Here are some other examples of what I can use with green screen with interactive tools. So I have different animals that's on the screen, and I have different pieces right here, all the different food items. And these are things that I am manually putting on the screen. You see, I'm holding that bottle because I'm feeding the chicken because this individual person was wanting me to feed the chicken. And on this particular activity, one of the things that I've done is talking about the color. So it's yellow watermelon. It's a squishy water bottle. It's pepperoni pizza. We could talk about how it's a fluffy sheep, or is the sheep hungry or thirsty? So I'm hitting a lot of different goals using these interactive pieces, and then I just simply take them off when I do the next activity. Here's another example. Why don't we use these interactive pieces and we make a pizza? I'm sorry, not a pizza. We make a ice cream cone. And the individual can pick whether they want an ice cream cone or if they want a sundae. What type of ice cream scoops do they want? Maybe working on articulation to get that sound to try it in scoop, you know? Or maybe it's a squishy ice cream cone. So start thinking how these are generic activities that we can hit language goals that is really engaging. I also have a pocket that I like to use. And what I do is that I will actually be able to put my hand right in the pocket. So it almost looks like I am actually feeding this parrot. So look, I'm feeding this parrot. So you can see how that could be very engaging for a child. Like, just the parrot on the screen. Speech therapy just has to be fun. So you make it what you want it to be. So then we also have actual PowerPoint slides that I've created where maybe I want to hit on language through social skills. Maybe we want to teach about the different types of feelings and emotions. So now you can see how for higher level, how I can use green screen in order to teach higher level concepts as well. This is so much fun seeing me interact with this rather just seeing it as a share screen format. So now I'm going to show you an example of what it could look like when I'm actually interacting through a social story. So instead of me kind of doing my whole spiel what I do, I'm just going to give you a vibe of what it looks like when I'm actually interacting with the screen. So I'm going to push down on this, but that gets me every time. That is so frightening when that ball just like flies up in the air. It scared me. But you can see how I can make these activities run a light and think about what can I work on? Maybe we're trying to target the P word, push, you know, maybe I could stick a poll in there by making this into more of a poll activity instead of a push activity. You know, maybe I'm trying to pick up the ball working on P. So it's a language activity that I can make for articulation as well. So we also have with my traditional approach is that I can have actual concrete objects that I have on my side of the screen and I can interact with them. So for some children, that could be a nice little thing just to kind of pull out of my pocket as something different where I'm actually physically touching it and I'm not interacting with the backdrop. And then, of course, this is the traditional shared screen that people think of when they think of online speech therapy, where I'm here, the other individual's here, and maybe we're making an ice cream cone together, doing online activities. Some children do prefer this over the green screen. I'm kind of biased toward the green screen activities, but you know what? The whole thing that makes our approach so unique here is that it's all based on what is engaging to the child, to the individual. So now we're going to dive on in. We're going to learn a little bit more about the hybrid approach. So this is a combination of the hands-on activities where we are playing and interacting with items that's in our environment, whether it's we are taking out a school bag or your work bag and we're trying to organize the work bag or the school bag to try to find things in the bag. It's playing with toys in the environment that can be very engaging. And the difference is that the client is aware that I'm on the computer screen. So the client is interacting with me. And the parents can also be involved. So I can also do the coaching model of therapy by teaching the parents how to help the child. It's just the difference here. The client knows that I'm here and we're interacting with the environment. But it's also an online approach because the child knows I'm here. So maybe we are going to do some green screen technology. Maybe we are going to do some online games and activities. But the key is that we're just going to switch back and forth. So we're going to switch back and forth between online activities and also hands-on activities as well. So this would be an example of this particular child knew I was on the screen and wanted to show me this really cool project that they did. Here's another activity. This is a child who was actually interacting with a container, was actually mixing some brownie mix together while we're trying to work on some feeding goals that we're working on. Here's another example. This particular individual is trying to draw a picture of me. And I'm looking at me on the screen. She was fully aware that I was on the computer screen. I do like to think that that person does kind of look like me with the curly hair. I kind of see the resemblance. So thank you so much for coming and getting to know more about my online speech therapy experience. Please reach out to me if you have any questions at liz@healthyspeechsolutions.com. Have a wonderful day. Bye.